Hey guys, this is John, and I'm playing Nizmo in the 15-minute pool on ICC. Let's play d4 on this one. It looks like Nimzo, but he actually is not going to play a Nimzo Indian. So we're going to have a Queen's Gambit. Plays c6, okay. Yeah, I'll just play Knight f3 on move 3. This is the most flexible move. Now, usually I play either Queen c2 or e3. But let's play... I'm going to do something a little out of the ordinary. I'm going to play Knight bd2 this time around. I've faced this line a couple times from the black side. And the idea is if they play bishop f5, you go knight h4. And you try to play against that bishop, try to win the bishop pair. And it tends to make black think a little bit. It's not a great move, to be honest, but it's playable, and it produces original positions. So it's acceptable from the white side. Now, black can forego bishop f5 altogether. They could play just something like e6. a6 is also interesting. I think I'll probably play e3 against that. Yeah, let's just go e3. I wonder if he'll follow up with b5. Presumably that's the point of a6, so I wouldn't be surprised to see it. Then I'll have to make a decision. Defend the pawn with b3, advance, or maybe take on d5. So with the knight on c3, this would be a theoretical position from the Shevchenko variation. So with the knight on d2, I have to figure out which line is best. I mean, b3 is pretty safe, and I have some experience in the resulting positions. That said, though, I'm kind of inclined to take on d5. I don't know why. Take and then maybe play a4. I like the fact that he can't play b4 with tempo. Somehow that appeals to me. So let's say take on d5, a4. And then if he plays b4, my knight will be well placed on b3 right in front of the pawn. Let's try it. Let's do it. The only bad part is our dark square bishop isn't so well placed, but I'm hoping that it'll come to d2 later. And if there's a pawn on b4, it might end up helping to attack that pawn. If b4 right now, maybe I should play a5 and just ensure that he can't play a5 himself. Or would that be too much this early on? I mean, if a5, he has knight c6 and he can attack that pawn. Maybe I should just play bishop d3. But I don't want to end up in a cramped scenario, like if he's able to play a5 and I can develop my bishop to d2, but it doesn't do much. So a5 seems like it would be the move. Yeah, let's do a5, because then if knight c6, I'll play knight b3, and that will securely defend this pawn. Okay, let's just play bishop d3. His b-pawn is now defended by his bishop. Let's castle now. He'll probably castle. So if knight b3, knight e4, what then? What then? Maybe pawn e4 is okay for me right now. e4, d takes e4, knight takes e4. If knight takes, I take with my bishop. I have quite a bit of activity then. So e4, de, knight takes. He can try to blockade the d5 square, though. That's an option for him. This could open lines, so let's give it a shot. I'm not going to think too hard about it. Looking at this guy's stats, he has a peak 15-minute rating of, hard to say, because he hasn't played enough games. Only 9 games. He's won 6, lost 3. He has a 5-minute rating of 2,000. So, looks to be a pretty competent player. So by playing this move, e4, I'm trying to take advantage of black's backward development. He hasn't developed the queen side yet. I've got a slight jump in the development category. It's not much. I mean, I still need to bring my dark square bishop into the game. But I wasn't seeing much with that knight b3 plan. The thing I really didn't like about knight b3 is that he could go knight e4. I would no longer be defending the e4 square so well. So that's why I did this. What could he do now? Bishop e7 seems reasonable. I don't think he wants to capture on e4, because if he takes, then bishop takes e4, I'm hitting the rook. if rook a7, I might even have a Greek gift sacrifice, bishop takes h7. So I really doubt that he goes for that. If bishop e7, let's say I trade on f6, then his bishop has been diverted from the defense of the b4 pawn at least. I could even play bishop e4 then. So bishop e7, knight takes f6, bishop takes f6, bishop e4, rook a7. Okay, well he plays this. So I can get the bishop pair with knight takes d6, but he's doing the thing that you want to do against the IQP, the isolated queen's pawn, which is blockade the square right in front of the pawn. What other moves can I consider here? I want to go after h7. That's kind of a tempting option too. Ooh, also, okay. So if I take here, he takes with the queen, knight g5 perhaps. Then I'm hitting the h7 pawn. And yeah, if he plays g6, then the dark squares around his king are going to be compromised. Maybe that's a way to go. He could play h6. So knight takes d6, queen takes d6, knight g5, h6. But then I can play knight e4, and transferring the knight to e4 is a pretty big help. I feel like I'm going to get some nice attacking chances out of this. Move order-wise, is there any benefit towards playing knight g5 immediately, like knight fg5? It's a bit trickier. I don't see any advantage, though, in doing so. So if knight fg5, probably he'll just play h6. Then I'd have to take on d6 all the same. Other moves I can consider would be like queen c2, or knight takes d6, queen takes d6, then queen c2, trying to attack this pawn from a different angle. That hits the bishop on c8, but his rook would be defending it. I'm going to go with this line. And then this knight g5 move. I think this is a good way to proceed. Just transferring our knight to a better square, too. More active square. He's thinking. You know, after queen takes d6, bishop takes h7 would be nice. Idea, king takes h7, knight g5 check, followed by the queen coming into h5, but he has knight f6 at the end of that line. So hence I won't be able to like mate him on h7 with my queen and knight cooperating. Okay, let me just double check something. So like if I play knight e5, so that also looks really tempting. Knight e5, trying to go queen h5. I also have access to the c4 square then. Yet another plan would be like queen e2 here, trying to go queen e4. I might encourage him to play f5 somewhere. So many enticing options. So candidate moves right now are knight g5, queen e2, knight e5. Those are the main ones I'm looking at. If knight g5, can he also play knight f6 maybe? Then I have queen f3. Knight c6. Maybe that's nothing. Knight e5. I really like the look of knight e5 as well, I gotta say. It's a good square for the knight. It's going to assist in a lot of attacking operations there. So if knight e5, knight c6, queen h5, g6, I don't think like a sacrifice on g6 is going to hurt him too bad. It's something to calculate, but instinctively I don't think that'll work. So knight e5, knight c6, queen h5, g6. If I don't sacrifice, I'd have to move my queen, but then he's taking on e5 next move. Tough choice. If queen e2, I'm kind of thinking he might just play like knight c6, and if queen e4, then play f5. And it creates some weaknesses in his camp, but he should be able to play the resulting position. But then again, I mean, I should be happy about having induced f5. I think that's an achievement for me. Let's just play queen e2 and be flexible. Still keeping open knight g5 or knight e5 options, but I'm introducing the queen-bishop battery idea of queen e4. Because almost always in these IQP scenarios, if you're the side with the isolated queen's pawn, you want the queen in front of the light square bishop. You don't want it the other way around. Like queen c2 doesn't have quite the same effect. Okay, he plays knight d7, so he's going to bring this knight over to reinforce. That makes a lot of sense. I can try to transfer my queen now. Like, let's say queen e4, knight 7 to f6 more than likely, and then queen h4. That's possible. And then at all times, like bishop takes h7 or queen takes h7 ideas will be threatened. That's interesting. So queen e4, knight 7 to f6, queen h4. Let's say bishop b7, maybe knight e5 with pressure. We could also go knight g5 once again, but he's putting a knight on f6. Okay, let's do the queen transfer. So we'll threaten mate. I'm expecting knight 7 to f6. Maybe he'll play f5, but I doubt it. I think when he plays knight d7, it's pretty clear his knight wants to come to the square. He could play f5, but I'll just go back to e2 and try to play against that backward pawn. Got to watch my time a little bit. He's got a 4-minute time advantage. I'm recording this video a few days in advance of it being posted. I'll be in Ohio for a chess tournament by the time that you guys watch this. It's the Dayton Masters, if you want to go look it up. And I'll post a link as well in the description or in the comments. Not sure if they're going to have live games, but it's a 9-round Grandmaster Norm tournament. So trying to do well and just keep making progress towards a Grandmaster title. I have one Grandmaster Norm, and my FIDE rating is 2450. So in order to become a Grandmaster, I need about 50 FIDE points and 2 more norms, which are hard to come by, but they're not impossible, and I'm pretty close. Like if I get one more norm, I'm just right there within striking distance. One more good tournament after that, but got to take it one tournament at a time, because those norms are tough to get. So he does play f5. Now, do I want the queen on h4 or back on e2? That's a key question. I think probably back on e2. Yeah, let's go back. So I've wasted like 2 moves, but I got him to play f5, which is important. One thing I like about the queen being on e2 as well is that it might tie him down to the a6 pawn later. Okay, so he plays knight f6 now. Do we go knight e5? Yeah, maybe. Because he might be considering knight f4 soon. Like if I play rook e1, knight f4 is possible. So maybe knight e5 is a good way to just block that possibility. Let's do it. This seems counterintuitive as far as attacking that e6 pawn, but I'm not worried about winning that e6 pawn right away. It's going to be weak for the rest of the game. So I just want to get my pieces into play. Maybe f3 or rook e1. Probably rook e1 right now is a good plan. Got to move quicker. We got 6 minutes left. He has 10. Now I'm threatening knight c4. So he has to pay some heed to that. f3 maybe? Or just bishop d2. If bishop d2, knight e4, take, pawn takes, queen takes, that's just a free pawn. Yeah, we're just up a pawn there, so let's do this. I think he's going to have a little trouble here. I think it's going to be tough for him to find play. Like, he's blockaded well in the center, but e6 is weak and a6 is weak. I have a couple weaknesses of my own, mainly a5 and d4. Knight back to c7. I didn't see that move. Is he just trying to take this guy? Trying to take that pawn? Guess so. So if knight c4, queen takes, yeah, guess that's not so great for me. Maybe I gotta play bishop e3. Probably. Yeah, let's play bishop e3. Defend this pawn. If he plays f4, we take it, and he can take here, but I'm happy with that trade. Maybe I'll go f3 next if I get a chance. Place the knight back. Well, I definitely don't want to draw. That would be really lame. So maybe knight c4. But knight c4, he has queen c6, and he can like bother me on the g2 square. Maybe rook c1 right now? Knight c4, queen c6, queen f1 perhaps? To defend this guy. Or knight c4, queen c6, then f3 maybe. Maybe that's the way to go. Let's try that. I predict he will play queen c6 because that carries with it some discovered attack threats on g2. So I bet he would like to achieve that move if possible. We're playing a blitz game now, though, and I predict he's going to keep moving fast, trying to use that time advantage he has. I like our position still, but the time is going to be a big thing. Place the queen back there. Not what I was expecting. Okay, let's go bishop d2 again, then. Because now at least he can't move this knight away and bother us on the d4 pawn. Not sure about queen f8. That seems to put the queen like way out of play. Rook there. Okay. Let's just play f3. Maybe the queen can come into e5 soon. I just want to go f3 to keep the knight out of e4. I'm sick of having to analyze knight e4 in the position. Just want a pawn there. Also, it blocks his bishop on the diagonal. So if he moves this knight to like c7, then queen e5 I think is a good reply, because I would be attacking that knight. Yeah, let's do that. He has knight b5, though. I can play bishop e3 and guard it. Should have considered that more closely, though. Nonetheless, I think I got to go for this. So if rook d5, queen f4, what is going on there? Hard to say. Then my queen and bishop are the only things holding the pawn. Kind of have to play this move. Maybe he'll just double up the rooks. So if rook d8, I can play knight b6, though, and attack that rook at least. That wouldn't be half bad. So rook e d8, knight b6. If rook d6, maybe bishop takes b5. Then I would have a passed a pawn. He could try to bother my queen right now with knight h5, but then I have queen h4 attacking that knight. A little bit of an odd position right now. If e5, idea if pawn takes, maybe the bishop's hanging. I think I could take with the knight on e5. Also, I mean, even e5, d takes e5, rook takes d3, I can take on f6 if needed. Rook back to d8. Yeah, he's trying to go knight d5, I think. Pesky. Pesky, pesky. Okay, let's play bishop f2. And if knight d5, maybe queen e5 once again. He's really pivoting in and out of this d5 square, isn't he? He's making use of that frequently. Probably soon rook ad1 would be helpful, so that I can move my bishop and my rook would remain defending this pawn. Queen there. Is the point of that to go knight h5? Might be. But I have knight e5 now if I want. Knight e5. Yeah, let's do knight e5. Queen c7, bishop takes b5. I mean, this a pawn is going to be dangerous soon. He's going to have to watch that. I think he'll play queen c7. Yep, he does. Rook ec1 maybe? Let's first take this. And go a6. Let's bring this over. Attack his queen. He's playing very quick now. a7. Or rook here, maybe? Rook there, queen b6, though. Okay, I'm going to play a7. I'm just going to get a little bit closer to the queening square. Also, I'm just trying to create like space up the file for my rook. 2.5 minutes, though. We gotta hurry. Bishop d5. Okay, let's do this. Attack the pawn. Also, maybe get ready to double on the a file. Now rook a6 is an idea. Let's play that. See where his queen goes. Maybe knight back here now? Looks good, because now I'm attacking the b4 pawn. Also knight c5 is a possibility. He's definitely treating this like a blitz game, as maybe well he should, since we're both pretty low on time, but I feel like some of these moves he's playing are pretty suspect. If he plays bishop c4, I probably will not take on b4, because then he can go knight d5 and try to trade a pair of knights. So I think on bishop c4, I would play knight c5. There's some nice options with this knight. Okay, let's go knight into c5. Queen f7, probably? Yep. Queen d6. Let's go here. Activate our bishop. Our bishop wasn't doing anything. So I'm hoping that, like, if knight d7, maybe I can retreat my knight again. And just be pesky. Also, I want to go queen d6 and maybe try to entice his rook to the d file where it would be in a pin. If that makes sense. Not sure how I'm going to make use of this pawn quite yet. For now, I'm content that he can't win it. Okay, queen. Okay, let's do this. Penetrate with the queen. He can bring his rook into c2. How about knight b4 now? Or knight f4, probably even stronger. Yeah, knight f4. Attack the bishop and the pawn. So if I take, what's going on? I don't have time to consider all the ramifications, so we're just going to do it. Pawn's a pawn. Maybe he can trade and then play rook c7 at the end. I always have rook back over to a6 to defend that pawn, though. Let's pre-move this capture. minute 30 for me, 3 and 45 for him, 3 minutes 45 seconds. Okay, so I was thinking this. Maybe rook c2 is annoying. So if rook down to c2, rook d6, repeat the position. You can come back to c7. Okay, let's go here. Maybe I'll put the bishop on c3. Or maybe maneuver it in somewhere. Let's go and take this pawn. Why not? Oh, I forgot that he could do that. Whoops. All right, what to do now? First, let's give a check. He's got to be careful now, actually. Do I have d5 check right now?
Check.
I think I do. d5 check. I'm going to go for it. So if king takes, I can take on d7 is the idea. Rook takes d7. Ooh, I think I caught him in something. So now I have this check.
Check.
And then check here.
Check.
He can go here, but then I have rook c6 check.
Check.
Aha, yeah. Yeah, we got it at the end. Okay, because now I'm going rook takes d7 on the next move. He resigned. Well, that ended in a hurry at the end. I should have seen that on rook takes h6, he could take on a7. That was just a mistake on my part. I was like, ooh, free pawn. But yeah, I can't help but think that black might have misplayed it somewhere, like right around here, maybe. Actually thought their position was reasonable. Rook d5 here. Rook back to d8 doesn't look correct. It seems a bit slow. But let's go have a look at it. So a Slav with this knight bd2 move. So I actually had a game against, I believe it was Gelashvili, Grandmaster Gelashvili, Tamaz Gelashvili from Georgia, where he played this as white, and I played bishop f5, and then he went knight h4, trying to hunt down the bishop. It's sort of similar to the line e3, bishop f5, knight c3, e6, and then knight h4, but just in an accelerated and slightly different version. So that's what I would have gone for. But he played a6, seems like a reasonable move. e3. I mean, a lot of times, like, white just prefers to have the knight on c3 versus d2, but there are some advantages to having the knight on d2. c4 is a bit better protected. If, like, I want to go for b3 here, it's not going to impede the bishop at all. But I was kind of curious, like, how taking on d5 would turn out, and then a4. And then a5. I'm going to put the engine on right now. Played e6. I just went bishop d3. Okay, so the engine already wants me to play e4, even this early. e4, d takes, knight takes, bishop b7. Maybe it's not much right now. I mean, I was pretty happy with my timing on the e4 push. So I did it right here on move 11. He took, I took, and he played knight d5. I thought maybe bishop e7 was the way to go. But the factor that encourages me to open the position is really the slight lead in development I have. Also, I want to get my dark square bishop out. d2 isn't like a great square. I was mentioning this plan with knight b3, but I think, and you can see the engine eval, I think it's fine for him. Like, at some point, he'll play knight e4, and at the very least, he'll be attacking my bishop on d2, and really not sure what that bishop is doing other than hitting the pawn, but the pawn should be easy for black to defend with this bishop on d6. So that's why I decided to play e4 and shake the position up somewhat. So knight d5, I took. The computer likes queen c2 instead. A sneakier move, maybe? Threatening takes, followed by bishop takes h7. That was not a diagonal line, sorry. Well, it was a diagonal line of sorts. So h6, and then I would go knight e5, according to the computer. That does look pretty active. And I've got a lot of pieces like... That was also not a good diagonal line. I've got a lot of pieces pointed at his king, especially both bishops. So queen c2, h6, knight e5. Yeah, it looks pretty for white. Not sure what my plan would be from here. What if he just makes like a developing move? Bishop b7, just play bishop d2. If knight d7... Oh, that hangs a bishop. Can't do that. So maybe he has a few issues developing. What about knight c6? Oh, that also just hangs a piece. Yeah. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I didn't consider how much influence the queen would have on c2, especially as far as impeding his development. Yeah, you can't bring the knight to d7 or c6. It's kind of nice for me. But I took on d6. He took with the queen, and then queen e2 here, and then queen e4. So I induced him to play f5. I thought queen e2 is the better square, but I see the computer likes queen h4. That does attack this pawn, and kind of looks into some of the dark squares in black's camp. So there's some merit to that. And I guess the plan would be bishop d2 and rook fe1. But I went to e2. I was thinking the pressure on e6 and a6 would be worth something. So he plays knight 7 to f6, and I went knight into e5. Knight e5, bishop e7, rook e1. And I was liking my position. I like the fact that I have the two bishops, plus I feel like his e6 pawn is nearly as weak as my d4 pawn. It didn't turn out that way in the game, but that's what it felt like to me. The time was becoming a factor, though, around about here. Okay, so here I could have indirectly defended my d-pawn by playing a move like rook ec1, or maybe rook ac1. That way, if queen takes d4, I have rook takes c7, so he can't get away with just winning the pawn in the middle. Yeah, that would have been better, a more active move. I thought I simply had to defend this pawn, so I played bishop e3, but then he went right back. Then I went knight c4, and I criticized his next move, queen f8. It just doesn't seem like the queen will be well placed on that square. I was expecting queen c6, trying for ideas like knight f4, knight takes e3. And I think I was going to play f3 in that case. And I would have been okay playing this position. I think I still have a slight edge. So instead he goes queen f8. I play bishop back to d2, rook a d8, f3. He withdraws the knight. I go queen e5 to attack it, but I might have underestimated knight b5. I mean, it was kind of fortunate that I wasn't just dropping the d-pawn. Okay, so what's going on in this position? So right here, apparently h6 is good, preparing g5. Because that would knock my queen off balance, and my queen doesn't have a lot of good squares. I mean, if black's able to play g5 in the present circumstance, there's nowhere my queen can go that will assist in defending d4. Yeah, h6, the quiet move. What if I play, this is kind of weakening, but h4? You can go knight h5. And I can't play queen h4. That's crucial. So once again, my queen has to go somewhere where it won't help me to defend the d4 pawn. Yeah. Okay, so he might have missed an opportunity right here, h6. Yeah, I did say in the postmortem, right after the game finished, that I thought maybe right around here he had something better, because going back to d8 is pretty cooperative. Just doesn't quite seem like the thing you want to do here. He's already pushed me back over the last couple of moves, and he has two active pieces on b5, d5, so he should try to make something of that. How long did he spend on this move? He spent about a minute, so yeah, he was searching for something. Well, one other line I wanted to check, because I thought I saw the engine. Oh, no, okay. I thought for a second, like, maybe this was an idea, trying to double up and attack d4. I thought the engine had suggested that initially, but I guess I can just take here. Yeah. And I win a piece. So he plays rook d to d8. I go bishop f2. I just wanted to make sure that my queen could retreat this way if necessary. Also, I'm uncovering my rook to attack the e6 pawn. He goes queen f7, knight e5, queen here. And now I started to feel really good about the position. We get the passed a pawn. He has really ugly doubled b pawns. With less than 3 minutes, it's hard to win this position, and his time edge is worth something. But it's not a position where black is able to generate many threats, I feel. I played a7, just getting a little bit closer to queening. And I just try to probe around and attack his weaknesses, especially these pawns, and also looking for a reroute of my knight. It might be a technically lost position for black already at this point. Knight d3 is especially strong. It's important to reposition that knight. Like, it looks great in the center, but it's not attacking anything. I need to send it somewhere more meaningful, like the d3 square where it can attack b4, or get into c5 where it can knock his queen off balance and hit this e6 pawn. That's a constant weakness. I mean, what often happens is, like, you blockade that weakness for a while, the backward pawn, but you don't hope to keep that blockade forever. At some point, you want to move away and try to actually attack it and win it. So knight d3, he played b3. I got my knight into c5. Bishop h4. I was just trying to activate this dark square bishop. Looks like I played reasonably well. Knight here. I avoided the trade. If I take, I feel like his chances of drawing increase because now he's in an opposite color bishop position. And I'm quite a bit better here still. But, I mean, it's almost like I'm playing up a pawn because these pawns are doubled and my a pawn is almost impossible for him to get rid of. But all he has to do for the moment is guard the a8 square and guard e6. His bishop is a monster on d5. It's performing two useful functions in guarding those squares. So this would be much harder to win, in my opinion. I want to keep the knights on board and keep trying to probe him. So knight d3. He went rook here. Maybe he should have tried rook into c2 somewhere. I'm not sure there was ever like a good time for it. Here d5 would have been strong. Why is d5 such a good move? So bishop takes, knight takes, pawn takes, and then rook to c6. Huh. So if he takes, I take with the queen, hitting the rook in the corner. Okay. Yeah, and also hitting a bunch of other stuff too. And this is just too tough for him. Queen e8, queen
Check.
takes d5, king moves, take b5, and white has a decisive advantage according to the engine. That's a bit hard to see. I mean, I wasn't really thinking about the rook coming to c6. I mean, for that matter, why couldn't I do it right away? I guess I could. I don't even need the help of d5. Yeah, the rook coming to c6 is so strong because, like, if he takes it, as you can see, I take with my queen and I'm hitting that rook. And if he gives ground and moves this rook, like let's say here, I'm getting into c7 and I'm attacking that pinned knight twice. And my bishop does a good job of stopping a rook from coming to d8. That's one of the reasons why I mentioned I liked putting it there. But I was happy just to win the e6 pawn, so that's what I did. Yeah, I mean, he might want to just try, like, rook into c2 somewhere soon. Like, what if he does it right now? Rook into c2. Rook e7. If the knight moves, rook b7. Okay, and then, yeah, if the knight moves again to, like, d5, say, I do have rook b8, which just wins. But still, like, worst case scenario, I think, like, he just moves the rook back, and you can see it's +3, but I guarantee that would have troubled me more than what happened in the game, I think, where he kind of just passively tried to stay on the pawn. So maybe he should have tried rook c2, just for practical reasons. Now, I did get ahead of myself, though, in taking on h6. I should not have played that move. Yet d5, pawn d5 looks like a better move. I agree with the engine's eval there. He can't play king e7 then, trying to get his king closer, because I have d6 check. Yeah, also we get this pawn off a dark square and thereby increase the scope of our bishop. Maybe the bishop's going to come here. I took, he took here, and
Check.
I gave this check. And now he has to tread carefully. Yeah, I guess king g6 would have been the best move, huh? Because now rook takes d7, hoping for rook takes d7, rook takes 8. Rook takes a8 does not work, because he can just respond with rook takes a1, and I'm losing. So on king g6, I probably would have had to trade on a7 and play rook e7. Oh no. Accidentally dragged a bishop on there. That was not good. Okay, let me grab the game from my history. Let's see if we can get to that position. Yeah, so if he had played after this capture check and then king g6, I probably would have had to play rook takes a7, rook takes a7, rook e7, hoping to keep the pin. But then rook a1 and he can counterpin me. If I take his knight, he takes my bishop, and I'm only up, what, one pawn? But presumably I have like a minute or less at this point, and yeah, I mean, practically speaking, black might even be for choice with that little amount of time on the clock for me. So, yeah, king g6 would have been better. But he did this, and then I get d5 check in. And now if king takes d5, I have this rook takes d7 resource. And it comes with check, so he doesn't have time for rook takes a1. So I can entice him to play this move. compel him to play that move, and then I take on A8, winning material. So looks like he might have just made king e6 just on general grounds, like kind of just an instinctual move, but it's a bad move. Just
Check.
blunders the game away.
Check.
And then I get this check in, and I think it's pretty far gone for him. I guess king e5 maybe is the only chance. Nah, that might be worth something. And again, I can't play rook takes d7 because he takes here, or sorry, he takes on a1.
Check.
And I lose. So king e5. What if I do check, here? Take, check again. He can come to c4 and attack my bishop, and the game continues. Okay, so king e5 even could have given him some chances. Rook d1 is suggested by the engine, trying to hold the pawn. And +3, but with a minute on your clock, this doesn't look like a +3 position if you're white. It's going to require accuracy. But instead, he went here.
Check.
I got to check in. Yeah, now I think he's busted. King b6 fails to rook c6 is in the game. King b7, I can do rook takes d7. And a king move to the back rank, I can play rook h8. Like, say, king d8, there's rook h8.
Check.
And he has to play knight f8, and he's just losing. I guess there is king b8, but I think, what, bishop d6 should be winning then?
Check.
Yeah. Force the king here, and then we take the knight. Okay, so this game kind of took a course for the unusual early on with this knight bd2 move. Not sure I would play this over the board. It's probably not a serious try for an advantage for white, but it's interesting in a one-off scenario. And again, the idea is if bishop f5, you go knight h4, and you try to chase the bishop pair. I think I played all right. I mean, I did get him to weaken his position with that f5 move. I think my technique in the middle game could have been a bit better. Like, where are some moves that I wish I wouldn't have played? Not sure I would have gone queen e5 even, in retrospect. So it's somewhat on the defensive after that. Yeah, and if he would have seen that h6 move, intending g5, this is a key moment. If he had seen h6 followed by g5, he could have been in decent shape. Maybe in the opening I should have played queen c2, as the computer was saying, like right here. Instead of taking on d6, queen c2, stop his knight from coming in, set up the threat of knight takes d6, queen takes d6, bishop takes h7. All right, hope you guys enjoyed this game. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.